Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Jennifer Navarrete. I got that right.
Yes.
Good.
Very,
Good.
very well.
Good. I've written it phonetically down on my piece of paper to make sure I get it right. So, and we're going to talk about. This is just mind blowing for me. We're going to talk about blockchain and content creation on the blockchain.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I think most folks don't think of that at all.
I just yes. Do you know? I was talking to someone today about making slides on acetate. So anyway, let's talk about the blockchain, not
Wow.
acetate. Jennifer, where can people find you?
Well, I'm at ePodcaster, the letter EPODCASTER, pretty much everywhere. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on here on LinkedIn. You can connect with me anywhere. And you can also find me at ePodcaster on the blockchain.
Fantastic. So you've done all kinds of things. You're a podcaster. I met you because Keith Keller on Twitter recommended you. You're big into Twitter Spaces. I mean, you're doing a whole load of stuff. I mean, you're pushing forward the boundaries, which I love. I mean, I love people that push forward the boundaries of social. Just give us a little bit about your background and what you do and where you've come from in your journey.
Certainly. In 2005, I heard about this thing called podcasting, and I went to go do a little research, a little investigation, and I realized that I could record something, put it up on the web, and that no one could stop me. And I was like, "Sign me up! Let's make this thing happen." And that's really the start of this whole path that I've found myself on. It went from there to organizing events, organizing groups. Social media, live streaming, and really kind of going forward and pressing, pushing the buttons and pulling the levers and seeing what can these things do. I'm a big believer in the learn, share, grow model that Social
Mm,
Media Club pioneered, back in those early days. I was a local chapter leader. And I really like that concept of learn, share, grow. As we all
yeah.
learn, we can share what we learn. And in that way, we all grow together. And that's pretty much the framework for how I do everything I do, including this new foray into creating content on the blockchain. I'm very much into the learn, share, grow because there's way too much to know and no one can know it all. So if
And
we can all learn together.
I'm going to mention the end point before we get into it. That you've actually, I haven't done it yet. I've done the first lesson, but you've actually put a training course
Yeah.
on the web on this. It's a 30-day training course which you put out in November,
Mhm.
which is like, wow, here's someone that's sharing. You live, you're living by what you say.
Yeah, absolutely. As you hear a phone going off in the background, that I did not do not disturb my phone. Please ignore that. But yeah, I am. To me, it's really great to try things out and invite people to try it out with you. So in July, I launched a show with a co-host, my friend Shaine Mata, called the Crypto Content Creators, because I kind of wanted the way that I learn is by doing. And
Yeah.
the way that I learn by doing is by sharing the little bit I've learned, and then I can expand upon that. And then in November for National Podcast Post Month, which is something I founded back in 2007, I
Yeah.
thought for this year I'm going to take it to the blockchain, but I'm going to do it as a training course. And I launched Social Media in the Blockchain as a podcast, a 30-day podcast. Every episode was like anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes, so micro podcast, if you will. And it was just one little nugget at a time because it's so vast to try and understand that if I did the fire hose approach, which is typically how I do it, folks want to
Yeah.
run the opposite direction. So it felt like if I did these tiny little micro podcast nuggets of one thing, one concept, one concept, one concept, by the end of 30 days, you'd have like a good understanding of where you should go start your own research and why you should consider it. And that's really what I'm looking for, is for folks to consider the blockchain as another content destination. We're already creating content on WebTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're doing that already, but why not add the blockchain as another destination? And when I say blockchain, it isn't like there's one. There's many blockchains, but I'm using it just kind of like a general term because depending on what it is that you're looking for, there's all kinds of blockchains for different reasons and different purposes and different communities. And can you be in more than one blockchain? Yeah, I am. But again, do your own due diligence and research. And I'm just trying to encourage folks to take a look at it, to begin that process of it, to really demystify the blockchain.
And I mean, one of the things that I often talk, there's so many different places, and so many. There seems to be just before Christmas, I was approached about a new three social networks in 3 days. And what how do we how do we make a decision? Do we post on Instagram? Do we post on the blockchain? Where do we get the time? And what's your advice on that?
Right now, it's very early in the content creation aspect of the blockchain. It's very early for blockchain in general, but I'm hyper focused on just the content creation aspect of the blockchain. In other words, mirroring the kinds of behaviors that we're already doing on Web 2 and just putting that on the blockchain. And you're thinking, well, why would I do that? I'm already busy as it is. There is a reward system built into the very framework of the blockchain, which is not built into the very framework of Web 2. Now, if you go to my profile on Twitter on your mobile phone, and you see a tiny little dollar bill
Yep,
symbol and you click on
I've
that,
done
you'll
that.
see that you can tip me, right? But that's a process that you have to go through, and you have to want to go through there on my mobile phone. Click on that and you're going to be bombarded with four options. One, you can send me some satoshis. Two, there's my Bitcoin wallet. Three, you can send me a tip through PayPal or Venmo. There's other options. I just didn't put more options. And so there's so many layers, and so typically that doesn't happen. But on the blockchain, when you're a content creator and someone likes, or in terminology of the blockchain, upvotes your content and or engages and or shares, or there's the thing that we do on Twitter, on LinkedIn, the commenting, the liking, the sharing, the reblogging, the reposting. Those behaviors actually have a reward system built into it, but not just for the content creator, but also what they people who engage with your content on the blockchain are called curators, because if they like your content, they're curating good content. And what that does is that when that post pays out, which what I found is that pretty much all the blockchains have a 7-day payout for organic growth of that post. It pays out. It pays out not just to the creator, but it pays out to everyone who curated it as well. So there's a mutually beneficial reward system for creating good content and curating good content. And it's a seamless kind of no friction aspect of it, which I have found extremely, like mind blowing. And I was like, this is what Web 2 should have been all along.
Mm.
Now you can earn on Web 2, right? You can be part of a creator program, or if you're on YouTube and you have 1,000 subscribers and you have 4,000 watched hours in the last 12 months, you can be invited to participate in their partner program. But these are all things that you have to build towards and qualify for. Whereas on the blockchain, from your very first introduction post, you can be earning. Now, this is not financial advice, folks. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, nor to the best of my knowledge have I played one on TV, but I do want you to consider doing your own due diligence and research and starting to kind of dip your toe into the stream to learn more about this space. Because as we, as communicators, as business professionals, as folks that do things in the world, this is kind of where things are going to be going. And I say that as someone who saw podcasting in 2005 and knew it was
Yeah.
going to have an impact.
Yeah, I remember. I'm just coming up to my 12th anniversary on Twitter,
Oh.
and for 6 months, my manager had basically said, "You need to get on social media," and I put it off for 6 months, and then went on and experimented and opened a Twitter account, and it just experimented with it.
Mhm.
Um, and I kind of feel that we're in that similar place where
Yeah.
we need to go on and we need to start playing with the stuff
Hmm.
and then sharing with the stuff, because 12 years ago when I went to Twitter, the number of people that were online was
Small.
infinitesimally
Hmm.
small. Now it's massive.
Hmm.
So if I'm going to take a step
Hmm.
onto the blockchain, and I'm guessing that probably the people watching this, only one person knows this, and that's you. Because what do we do? What do we do? What is it? What do we do?
Try and find a blockchain that has a really robust community. Try and find a
Like
blockchain.
just
So okay, there are many. So I'll just throw some out there, and I'm not endorsing any of these, but there is Telos, there's Mind, there's Steemit, there's Hive, there's Wax, there's any number of them. So again, do your own due diligence and research, but try and find ones that kind of meet what you're looking for. If you're a gamer, try and find platforms that have really robust games, but have look for those robust communities, because right now, because let's face it, if you hear about NFTs, half of the people are striking it rich and the other half are getting their money, ripped out from under them. It's called rugged, right? Or rug pull. So if we think about that aspect of it, of doing your own due diligence, I personally am looking for blockchains that have a robust community.
right.
And by robust community, I mean people who have been there for a bit, who are super active, who are staking inside of the blockchain, because that means they're investing in the blockchain and aren't just trying to strike it rich in one go. They actually have skin in the game. And so that gives me a little bit of comfort knowing that, okay, there's a community built around this. So as I'm investing my time and as I'm growing my assets within the blockchain, that there's something there for me that I can feel a little bit of confidence in there. But I will also tell folks, don't put the rose colored glasses on completely, because just like in the real world, um, if you get an email from someone who says they're a prince from Nairobi and they're going to send you $1 million if you send them $10,000, okay, that type of behavior, just like it exists on email, just like it exists on Web 2, also exists on Web 3 or the blockchain. So don't lose your common sense as you start kind of dipping your toe into the stream. Be aware of that, because there's a financial aspect to it. The fact is, people are going to come in there and try and take what you've earned or what you
Yeah.
have. So be smart.
Okay. So we've picked a blockchain based on our
Hmm.
requirements.
Sure.
Um, and what do we do then? Is that something that we just we start posting to, or
Hmm.
um, is it we post to it in the normal way, or what
Sure. It's
happens?
exactly the same. I can tell you that on the blockchains that I'm looking at, if you like to blog, there are blogs on the blockchain, except
Right.
there's that reward system. And if you like to microblog like Twitter, there's versions of that on the blockchain. If you like to do videos, if you like to go to Twitch, there's live streaming gaming platforms for you too. If you're an Instagrammer, there's versions. I mean, every single thing that you can think of under the sun that exists on Web 2 pretty much exists in the blockchain. It's called different things, and on different blockchains, it's different. And even then, some blockchains have multiple versions of that, because you can create a DApp, which is a decentralized app, on the blockchain. And I kind of think of it as kind of like a mall or
Right.
shop or a store where there's lots of stores in there. So if you have your one account and your one keys, and the keys are very important, you got to keep them safe and secure. But once you have that ability, you go into the mall with the one account, the one key. And then once you're in there, you can go to all of the shops within the mall. And if you want to microblog, you go to that microblogging area and you spend time there. If you want to blog, you go there. But you're on the one blockchain or the one mall that allows you to have access to all of these dApps or decentralized apps, and the earning ability is in there. Now, here's the really sweet part about the one account to rule them all, per se, is that if you go there, you're going to see Jennifer, me, e-podcaster. If she's microblogging, you're going to see her there on her one account. If she's doing video, if she's doing podcasting, whatever it is that I'm doing within the blockchain, if you go to my one account, you're going to see it all, which is not true in Web 2. If you want to see everything I'm
Mm.
doing, you're going to have to go to all of the places I am independently, and you're going to have accounts for those. Whereas with the blockchain, because it's the one account, you can have access to everything I'm doing and see all of the ways that I'm using the blockchain and participating in the space by going to my account, which I think is very liberating and such a new way of doing it. And yet also kind of like, once I saw it, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
So I mean, it really is decentralized, because at the moment, we have using Web 2,
Hmm.
Twitter and Facebook. They hold your information
Hmm.
and your data. Whereas on the blockchain, this we're given this, we're sold this idea of Web 3, which is a decentralized set of data.
Ownership,
What we're saying
right?
here is it is actually decentralized.
Hmm. The ownership aspect is really huge too. I know folks have heard about, oh, so and so was in Facebook jail, or somebody had their account deplatformed or demonetized on YouTube. And there's all of these things that happen where the reality is we created the content, right? Came out of our head. We typed it in there. We took the photo. We did the video. It's our hard work, our content. But yet, do we really own it? And if
Mm.
somebody can take things away from you, you don't really own it. So on the blockchain, no one can take anything away from you. And like a lot of people are comparing the blockchain or the Web 3 to the Wild West, which is what
Yeah.
people called social media back in the day. But it's
Well,
true.
I think sometimes it still is, but yeah.
Yeah, and the Wild West is both good and bad, right? The good
Mm.
is that you can go stake your claim, you can make your path, you can chart your course, but also the Wild West was dangerous.
Mm.
Somebody, you could get robbed, you could be on the Oregon Trail, and that didn't work out so well for them. So
Mm.
again, you don't lose your common sense just because, it's like the new hot sexy. Keep your common sense, keep your wits about you, but definitely start investigating this. And I tell folks, do this for yourself personally right now, you as a human being. Eventually you're going to be advising your clients, eventually you're going to be advising your nonprofits, eventually you're going to be advising your organizations. But for now, the best way to learn is to learn it as you, as a human being, as one person. Use it for yourself to learn, if no other reason. If you go in there and you're like, this isn't for me, don't like it at all, then at least you'll know why. And then when people come to you and ask you about it, you can have reasons and you'll have an understanding and awareness. So whether you think this is the next big thing or not, you should still look at it in order to know with some sort of knowledge, be knowledgeable about it so that you can advise people they should do this or they shouldn't do it. And again, this is very early. Please don't have FOMO about this. There's plenty of time for you to get involved in this. And I mean it, plenty of time.
Yeah, Gary V. I remember him making an announcement. He was going all in on Snapchat. It was going to be the next big thing, and then and he did that for I don't know how long. And then someone said to him at a conference, and he said, you said that Snapchat was going to be the next big thing. It wasn't. And Gary said, yeah, but you've got to remember that what you learn, or what I learned at that point, was how to create short form video. And this is before TikTok had taken off.
Right.
And one of the things that it doesn't matter whether it's the next big thing or not. It's the skills that you use that you can take on, because you can guarantee that that TikTok was formed out of things to do with
Most
Snapchat.
definitely.
And
Yeah.
we're and there's lots of things, whether social audio or something like that, where you actually learn how to do something in short form position.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's about learning those skills, because they'll always be useful to you, and people can never take them away from you.
Right, right. It informs other things that will come up, good or bad, right? It's just information. A platform is a platform. It's a tool. How we use it
Yes.
is whether it benefits us or doesn't.
So, have you got any advice? So if people want to start out, what should you do? Should we just post something? Should we write something? What should we do?
So as easy as it is on Web 2 to create an account on Twitter or here on LinkedIn and just get started off to the races, it is not that easy to do that on the blockchain.
Right.
There's a little bit of a hurdle or to get involved, because we're also looking at most blockchains have a limit of how many people can create accounts in order to, they minimize, they limit that, and it's limited because of the size of the blockchain and in order to protect the blockchain so it doesn't get overrun and overwhelmed.
Mm.
And so you may want to join a particular blockchain, but you may get a notice that says, well, we're out of new accounts for the day. So there's that aspect of it too. And then once you get on, you need to set up your keys, and your keys are very, very, very important. This proves ownership of your account. If somebody gets access to your keys, guess what? It's not your account anymore. So
Yeah,
this goes
it's a
back
bit
to the
like the
safe.
Bitcoin key, isn't it? In terms of
Yes,
saying that this
exactly.
is your unique.
Yep.
Yeah, I was reading a book about Bitcoin between Christmas and New Year, and it pointed out that there's people say it's the wild wild west, but actually you have a unique key, so actually everybody knows who that. So if someone
Hmm.
says, please send Matt $10,000 to
Hmm.
that particular account, you know exactly who that person is.
Yeah, it's a ledger. It's a public ledger. That's all it is. And you can go find that, track that ledger down where it is
Hmm.
on any kind of block, where the block was that it was that transaction happened on. So
Yeah.
yeah, people have a tendency to think it's this secret thing, but actually you can trace where things go. Now, people can be not themselves,
Yeah.
obviously. And so in that way, if you don't know who that end user is, then yes, it is very secret. But we're going off into a deep end here now.
Okay, so we find a blockchain, we register. We need to be a bit patient. Do we need anything else? Do we need like Bitcoin keys and stuff like that?
Not at all. I mean, because each blockchain has its own token that's associated with the blockchain. And then there's second tier tokens as well, which is a fascinating thing because you're not just earning rewards based on the main token for the blockchain. These decentralized apps, not all of them, but some of them have their own specific tokens. So hashtags on the blockchain have a different use than the hashtags on Web 2, because sometimes that hashtag really ties into a specific dApp. And then there's rewards that you earn in secondary tokens. And there's also gaming, play to earn. The play to earn is how a lot of people are getting involved in on blockchains and content creation, because they may hear about a game and they want to go do play to earn, because as you play the game, you earn rewards. You earn, some of them have
You've been doing
NFTs.
this with your son or something, haven't you?
I have. I've gotten involved in the gaming aspect of the play to earn aspect, and I have to tell you, I didn't think that I would be so deeply involved as I am, but I am, and it's the reward system is amazing, the play is amazing, the community is really great. And yeah, to earn from playing a game, or real assets, NFTs, secondary tokens, main tokens that you can trade on the open market if you want to, or use to buy more assets. Fascinating. It's so fascinating.
Mm.
Again, I encourage folks to do their own research, take a look at it, and see what's going to work for you, and go slowly. There's no rush. Just try it, test it out and go, if I do this, what happens? And then typically what I have found is that the blockchain communities in a really well, robust community, they're very inviting and very kind, and they get that you're a newbie and they're happy to answer questions. And if you just do some search inside of whatever blockchain and so this blockchain for newbies, there's tons of articles that folks have written. There's videos that are on the video platforms of how to onboard and considerations and things to do and things to not do. So again, I mean, take the time to learn it. Don't go all crazy, posting willy-nilly. I encourage slow, measured steps because I feel like you'll have a better result and you'll have a better experience. And it'll just be a better experience just overall, not just for you, but for the folks that you encounter on the blockchain, because we have to be good stewards of that blockchain, right? Are staking, we are owners of that as well.
Yeah, my view always is community before commerce, and I think you have to.
Yes.
If you're going to go into anything and say I'm going to monetize this and make money from it, you won't. You go in and you create a community, and it's about giving, it's about sharing, and then you'll find that will actually monetize. It's the way that social works. It's social.
Yeah, being a good community member is rewarding in many ways.
Yes, yeah. So, Jennifer, that's been fascinating. Thank you so much. We're at the 20 minutes. It goes very, very quickly. I could sit here and actually talk to you for hours about it but I probably need to actually sit down. I'm going to do your course over the next 30 days. I'm committing to that now to everybody that I'm going to do that. So I'm going to book time in my diary, and I'm going to work my way through that. And then, because I agree with you that we need to learn these things, because we're going to need to start. All of us who work in the social media field are going to need to teach and coach people how to do this.
Yeah, so right now on Twitter, if you follow at ePodcaster on Twitter, I am doing a 31-day challenge that started on January 1, where I am going live on Twitter Spaces every day at 4 p.m. Eastern for about half an hour. And I do a little teaching in the first bit, and then we have an open discussion with the folks who are there. And these are recorded. So if you wanted to go back to January 1 and get the framework of what this is all about. And again, I'm trying to demystify the blockchain as a content creation destination. And so I'm covering different topics like play to earn, NFTs. We went through 2 days of terminology, and I'm putting links and resources in there for folks to dig and do more. And it's really been great because I am learning. I can tell you that I was using the one key to rule them all, and most of the folks didn't understand that was from Lord of the Rings. So this is where I came
Yes.
up with the mall analogy, and that seems to work better. But building it in public is a really great way to expand learning.
Right. Because when you talked about keys, I read Ready Player One between Christmas and New Year. So I was thinking about this. I don't know if you've read that, but there's keys in that. It's it's living life in the metaverse.
That's coming too.
Yes, it is. Yes. So Jennifer, thank you so much. Can you remind people where they can get hold of you?
If you will go to ePodcaster on Twitter, the link that's there, that's my one link to rule them all. And it'll give you all the links of where you can find me and get connected with me. But if you just Googled at ePodcaster, you're going to get all of me.
And you're going to join us tomorrow, aren't you, on our digital download on
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be great. Experimentation, highly recommend it.
Well, yes, because we're actually we're experimenting by bringing you on to talk about experimentation.
Oh, I love that.
so one of the things that we want to do is we want to start. We're thinking, we don't know if we want to bring guests on or not. So you're going to be the first guest, but you're going to be talking about experimentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this format of podcast, the Talking Heads format, has a place, because I'm passionate that people watch it for 20 minutes and they will learn something. I want to make sure that we can, everybody who watches these things will learn something, and that's what we're trying to do with the digital download as well, is make it educational. It's again about what you called about learn, share, grow. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Fantastic. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks for today. Bye.
Bye.